So guys, over the course of like the weekend, I was at DreamHack. I probably have a video about that already that you guys could have seen. I'm turning up the light here real quick. Probably have a video that you could have seen where I go over some of my experiences with DreamHack and whatnot. But today, and kind of going over it, I want to talk about like why gacha content is on a decline, or how it's on a decline. This might come off as, some people might say it's obvious, and then you'll probably like, oh yeah, Zenless is dying, or oh yeah, Star Wars. This isn't one particular game. It's all of them, except Genshin. And I'm specifically saying that at the beginning of the video so that I can like weed out any like the usual Genshin haters. What I'm about to talk about in today's video, it's not about like a tribalistic thing. It's not about a gacha war. It's not about like which game is better than the other game, right? I'm deliberately talking about analytics. I'm talking about analytics. I'm talking about the retention value. I'm talking about where the game state is. I'm talking about a lot of different things overall. The reason I'm talking about that is because I, being the content creator, I've been watching this for months, okay? Right now, I'm live on YouTube Short and I'm live on Twitch. So if you guys see whatever, then it is what it is. So I do hate numbers. I don't like numbers at all, which is why I've been looking into this. For the last like 3, maybe 4 months, I obviously noticed this was Zenless first. But this is something that I talked about a little bit ago. And again, I don't remember the specific date that I would have talked about this, but I know I've been talking about this for quite some time now. The statement that I would have made, or rather did make, was Zenless, and by association or by extension, Wuthering Waves, and I'm going to say that, Star Rail as well. All of them have been on a decline. And it's a very interesting decline. This decline isn't a decline in players. Want to make that very clear right now, right? A lot of people are going to hear what I say and they're going to go, oh, you're bullshit. My cousin just played Wuthering Waves yesterday and their brand. It's really weird. The whole situation is so weird, which is why I've even looked into it in the first place. The player count is going up for these games. Star Rail is kind of neutral, but it's at a positive, not a negative. Wuthering is at a positive. Zenless is at a positive. Genshin is at a positive. All the newer games are at a positive. CZN, obviously, DNA, like these newer gacha games are at a positive. What am I talking about when it comes to decline? The interest rate for content views, Twitch numbers, YouTube numbers, whatever, anything of the sort, it's going down. All of the numbers are tanking. And so what are some of the things that you as a viewer could look at in order to see a little bit more about like what's going on before we talk about like why this has happened, right? What are some of the things that you could see? Ooh, I really like the way that, yo, YouTube Short, hold on, this kind of, if the chat wasn't right there, it's kind of nice. I like that. Anyway, what are some of the things that you could probably look at, right? I'm going to open up real quick. We have YouTube open, and I think you guys should be able to see this too. So we're going to look at ZZZ, and I'm going to point some stuff out. All right. There are 3, I think maybe 4 particular creators that are like up. And that's crazy that I see my face right there. But anyway, 3 maybe, and I'm so glad he used an actual good, damn, he went all the way back, bro. That's a good fucking shot. Yo, shout out to you, man. Thank you for using a good image and not one where I look like fucking hideous. All right. I know a lot of Zenless creators. Okay. I would say I know at least 90% of the Zenless creators. We're all in a group. Most of us, if we're not in a group, then we have some form of communication with one another. I know about 90% of the Zenless creators. At this current moment in time, I want to say there are maybe like 4, maybe 5, and the 5th one I just can't think of. 4 that are at what used to be normal being view count. Let's pay attention to view count real quick. Normal being 10K plus. Now you'll hear me refer to this as double digits. I talk about double digits a lot. Double digits. It's easier to say that because this means that it can be 10K, 15K, 20K, 30K, whatever, double digits. The 4 creators that I'm currently in my head out of like the 10 or 15 that we have tops that are still comfortably pulling in double digits: ALG, Kate, Rivenous, but Rivenous is a slight exclusion. And the only reason I say that is because damn good guides. A lot of effort goes into those guides. Pretty much only produces guides. And currently the 4th slips my mind. Definitely not me. No. The 4th slips my mind. I want to say J Stern. So before I even, let me just double check. Videos. Okay, yeah, I'm right. And J Stern. Okay, so these are the 4 right now. There might be a 5th that's pulling in the double digits. What does that mean? Why is that important? It's important to represent where the baseline for views and interest were with Zenless Zone Zero just a couple of months ago. The baseline for this was multiple creators were pulling in double digits. This might have been, and some of you guys might have been able to see this too. You guys might have been able to see this with Lawson's video during the Sambi run, right? Where he was talking about Sambi and where she was able to go. You see the view count here just a couple months ago, very high, even without like drama being attached to it, because these really aren't drama videos. but like you see the interest is pretty high. Players are interested in these topics. They're interested in the game. They're interested in what's going on. And then we get to a point where that interest just starts to dip off dramatically. And now where it's like, what, 3 weeks, 15K. This is a top 5. This is a top 5 video. If I type in anything, if I type in anything top 5 characters, just period. Hekvin, first duet night abyss tier list, 56,000 views. Samul, Pridewind, Chaos Zero Nightmare, 26,000. These aren't my top 5s. Top 10 reincarnation anime with an overpowered main character 5 days ago, 20,000 views. Like what I'm trying to point out is that top 5s, top 10, 60,000 views from AMZ, right? A month ago. Anything top blank usually equals everyone is interested in this topic, or a large majority of people would be interested in this topic. This isn't Gacha exclusive. This is quite literally just YouTube. If I type in top 5 best lawnmowers 2025, right? Look at this. Top 5 gets the views, okay? Top 10 get views. It is what it is. Anything top, that's just YouTube 101, right? So we go all the way back. The majority of content creators who are making Zenless content are sitting under that double-digit threshold. It's less than 10K. The average view count now for the majority of Zenless Zone Zero creators is less than 10K, 5K, 6K, 7K maybe. And this is over like a days, right? A course of days of growth. Your normal growth period for a video is the first 48 hours. And realistically, it's honestly like the first 24. Didn't all videos in YouTube suffer a dip in views since August? Yes and no. Mostly no. When I say yes and no, there was a lot that happened. A lot of people were blaming this on the restricted mode. That has nothing to do with the view count at all. Then after that, it became a thing with the ads, okay? So ad blocker. And this one is unverified, but probably accurate. YouTube implemented something where the ads, anyone that uses an ad blocker doesn't actually count as a view. This is a positive for the viewer, obviously, but it's a negative for the content creator. Why? Because what this does for the content creator is, let's just say that you had a video that actually got 20,000 views, but 10,000 people used an ad blocker. YouTube will not register 10,000 people, which means you've lost 10,000 views. Losing 10,000 views that are just not accounted for, that's your money as a creator. That's your views, again, as a creator. Now, I only bring this up to clarify the thing that was just mentioned about August. I don't have any verification or validation to back that particular claim up, so I'm not really making it. I'm just explaining what was already explained to me from the other YouTube gurus who have, tried to prove this theory and looked into it and whatever else. Me personally, I just think the interest rate is dramatically low. However, this does line up with the timing. Yes, the timing that the ad block implementation was put into place and the timing that the views just took a big cut, right? A huge cut from everybody's views dramatically dropped. Yes, the timing does line up. Moving past that point with Zenless as a whole, we get into Honkai Saro. We get into Wuthering Waves. And I'll try and find some things that are a little bit more recent, but the same things for the most part apply. This is Sevi. Now, Sevi doesn't normally make Wuthering Waves content. Lately, she's been making Wuthering content, but Sevi is a Genshin creator, 300,000 subscribers. Her natural audience is well above 12,000 viewers. Now, she did take over a year-long break, to my understanding. I'm not here to specifically pocket watch. You guys can go look at her own views, because I don't want anyone to take this in like a negative light, right? I'm only using these to reference exactly what I'm talking about. 12,000 views on her video after a day. The interest rate for these things has dramatically decreased. Zani is badly designed and it kind of hurts. Retrospective videos in any of the gacha space usually do very well. 10,000 views 5 days ago. This should be higher. The interest for this type of stuff should be higher. Now let's ask why. Why should the interest for these games be higher on these viewing platforms? YouTube, Twitch, TikTok. I don't have the TikTok number, so I'm not really gonna mention that, but whatever. YouTube and Twitch, right? Why should the interest rate be higher? Why should views be higher? Because the player count is still increasing. The player count is steadily increasing to the point where it's crossing that hundreds of thousands, possibly millions. Genshin, I know, is over 1 million. or millions. Zenless and Wuthering, I'm not entirely too sure. Somebody else can come up with the numbers for that, but it's up there. It has crossed that threshold. It's growing every day. All of these games are still growing every day. So the interest in gacha gaming is still up. It might not be as quickly as it used to be, but it's still up. So the fact views are not even, I don't even want to say up, normal. Views are not normal right now. I can't blame this on the ad stuff because I don't know it. There's no accurate information to even say something like that. I can't blame this on the restricted mode because that's just bullshit. And I could even go as far to say, I can't even blame this on the usual thing, right? The drama, the rage bait, whatever. I can't even say that's the reason. Now, I do believe that might be part of the reason as to the decline overall, but I don't think that's the reason of what's going on right now. I think that's something that happened way back when, and it's affected viewers' interest overall. So now we get into what are players actually interested in. This is 11 months ago, but I'm going to use as an example just real quick. The only problem with Wuthering Waves story, videos that are essentially rage baiting, they're pissing off the viewer or making the viewer feel some type of way to the point where like they have to click it, or guides. Because it's quick, it's easy, I can consume it and then move on with my day. I don't have to sit here all day. My main issue with all of this going on when it comes to like gacha games as a whole and like just how things are, emotional damage. My main issue with that is that it disrupts the foundation of what exists. I know I'm saying like a bunch of what possibly could be mumbo jumbo for people, but it shouldn't be mumbo jumbo. From a creator perspective, all creators should be worried about whatever's going on. This isn't a drought. This isn't like a random like, oh, it's just a dry patch. We always say, oh, it's just a dry patch. That's not what this is. I think content for gacha games, and yeah, Coda, you kind of mentioned it, right? A lot of the drama baiting and rage baiting, it has changed the gacha space currently. Now, one of the things that I do want to mention that I talk about quite often is bubbles. I mention the bubbles and I talk about the differences between like each space. And I say that in the gacha space, there are different bubbles. Now, viewers probably don't recognize this, but you guys are in a bubble. What does that mean? There's the drama bubble, rage bait, whatever, right? There's the casual bubble. There's the discussionary or guide making bubble. There's gameplay. Bubble is just a subsection of a larger space. Examples of a bubble. You guys know I love Jadalee's content for mostly analytical reasons. Jadalee is an outlier. She is an outlier to the space and a very good one at that. Very good one at that. Jadalee is able to make the type of content very almost identical to Doro, okay? And this is their own bubble. I'll explain. It's also a reason why I say the things that I say about Genshin, but I'll explain. Their views are their own. What does that mean? It means that the 170K, the 85K, the 90K, that one was botted. We know that about the Wuthering stuff right now, but the 70K, right? These are her own community. And then it branches out into anyone else who just happens to be interested in whatever's going on. They've amassed an audience of people that want to watch this type of content. You can consider this the happy-go-lucky bubble if you want. This type of bubble, again, not exclusive to Jadalee. And to be fair, it is primarily the Genshin Impact creators that exist in this bubble. They're able to just enjoy the game. Most gacha players just want to enjoy the game. We as a collective have endorsed in this bubble that I'm talking about, not the Genshin bubble, but the bubble that I'm talking about. We've endorsed emotionally triggering people for views. We've endorsed, and this is from the viewer perspective now, you guys have given incentive for creators to make the content. I hate drama. Why do they keep making drama? I wish we had more content creators in Wuthering Waves that actually played the game and covered not drama. You know how you get that? By endorsing the creators that you see who don't cover the drama or rage bait, if that's what you're against, right? And this is something, again, I talk about this all the time. Your ability on YouTube in order to curate an audience or fix whatever's going on, it's viewer first. A lot of people like to blame the creator. Oh, well, if the creator was just a better creator, then no, that's not how that works. YouTube is an algorithm and it shows you repeatedly what you're into. You as the viewer, you're not a blank slate. The only way you get a blank slate is by making a brand new YouTube account and never watching anything. The moment you watch one video, YouTube immediately starts curating your algorithm based off that video you watched. It immediately starts messing with your algorithm based off how long you've watched it. Don't believe me? Make a brand new YouTube account and then go do it. That even do an incognito YouTube no account, or sign in on your TV. Go to a YouTube TV or your TV, sign in on YouTube as a guest. It'll be blank. It's only going to show you whatever is like, you know, trending. Click on something and watch your feed immediately change. Watch 2 of that something and watch your feed change into only that. So when a viewer or a community says that they're so tired of drama, all they see is drama, it's because you've endorsed it. You've clicked on it. The reason that it's so popular, the reason it's so lucrative is because you've endorsed making it lucrative. You've given them a reason to keep pumping out the content. And so now we get into the actual gameplay, having fun with the game or whatever, right? That bubble. That is the only safe bubble right now with Genshin. That is the only safe bubble right now, and it's Genshin. Eo, how come you never slander Genshin? How come when you talk about Genshin, you say, well, how come when you said this about Wuthering, you didn't say the bad thing about Genshin? Because it doesn't exist. I view a lot of shit, a lot of these games I look at from a purely content perspective. Genshin is at the top. Argue with your mama. I don't care. It's at the top. No creator has more views than a Genshin Impact creator. No gacha creator. No gacha creator has more views collectively or even single-handedly than a Genshin Impact creator. I know you all have seen it too. There are literally random videos that pop up for Genshin Impact. I'm gonna do you one better. I'm gonna show you some shit. We were all like, what? That's crazy. How did that happen? Even though we knew it was gonna happen because that's why we did it. We tested it. I'm gonna go to Ren's channel. If you guys know Ren is a Wuthering Waves creator primarily. Recently, Ren made a video, a couple videos actually, going back to Genshin Impact. Again, keep this in mind. Primarily a Wuthering Waves creator. Started this channel, started pumping out Wuthering Waves content. He's almost the equivalent of what I am for Zenless, but for Wuthering. Like, dude is just cracked at the game. He knows a lot. I haven't played Genshin in 1,692 days. Can I clear Abyss? He doesn't even have the full word for Genshin Impact in the video. 76,000 views on a Wuthering Waves channel. Then he did it again. Why I'm returning to Genshin after a year of Wuthering Waves. 16,000 views. But let's look at the Wuthering Waves content. The strongest Galbrina combo ever discovered, 3.7K. I tried to 100% Wuthering Waves map in 24 hours, 6.3K. And I've seen these videos. A lot of his editing style does not change between each video. He's very good at constructing these type of videos, whether they be from stream or directly from YouTube. How to play every team with, I don't know how to pronounce the guy's name, but Juyan, might be how you pronounce it, 7.2K. How Juyan fix Wu's team building problem, 6.4K. These are things that the Wuthering community should be interested in. These are things that the Wuthering community are actively talking about. I see it on Twitter all the time. We see the discourse all the time. We see them looking for solutions or problems or answers all the time. So when you have creators, and this isn't even like to shill Ren, their life lessons makes lore. People, oh man, I wish we had a Ashikai, but for Wuthering Waves, you do, and you don't endorse them. I'm bringing all this up to point out the key simple fact. The gacha state has gotten to a point now because, or at least this bubble of the gacha space has gotten to this point because of the community. It's not the fucking developer. A lot of people like to say, oh, well, blame the developer. You're always blaming the community. Yes, because it is your fault. No one curates YouTube's algorithm except the people watching it. YouTube doesn't magically make the algorithm. It's not Grok. It doesn't just curate some bullshit because you asked it to. That's not how the platform works. Any creator who is looked into YouTube or knows a little bit about YouTube can tell you that. I don't expect many viewers to know that because a lot of the viewers just spout nonsense, but that's not how that works. YouTube doesn't curate nothing or something from nothing. That's just not how it does it. So when we look at this bubble, we talk about the gacha space. Pretty much any game that's not brand new, like CZN is up right now, DNA is pretty good right now, and Genshin is Genshin. We look at any of these games, they're not performing the way they used to. A dry patch is just a patch. A dry period is just a small period. This has been going on for months across the entire board. Across the entire board, this has been going on. This is a problem for all gacha content creators. They might not openly admit it, but a lot of them have been dipping their toes into other things, playing different games, exploring different avenues for content, taking big ass breaks. Even myself, changing my direction in content because the whale is being sucked up. And it's not specifically just gacha as a whole. It's the bubble that we happen to be in. Now I'll get into like the dev fault. I know this was a long-winded part, but I want to get into the dev fault here because it's not just the community. but it is the community. Like that, the YouTube thing is 100% the community. I don't think the developers know what the f they want to do with these games anymore. I think Zenless is at a crossroads with itself because they're trying to appease the new or casual player. The players that make the videos and complain about what they can't do, the players that are tweeting or sending in responses in the surveys or just bitching about what they can't clear and can't do, how they, oh, I don't want to play the new team. I don't want to build a new team. I want to play this one thing. I only want to play this. Zenless is trying to fix that problem by addressing the needs of those players. The issue is that Hoyo developer, Hoyo, right? Big Father Hoyo, Father Hoyo is saying no. The literal developer, the house, is telling the Zenless team, no. They're telling them, make money. You were on a decline for like the last 2 months. Make money. Oh, that's a great character design. Make money. That's what they're going for. So it's a conflict of interest. At the same, and yeah, curse of being a gacha, exactly. At the same time, we now get into the whole thing about in-game or the direction of where the game wants to be. Every developer note, every developer live stream, every live stream that we've had the actual developers talking about Zenless, it's very clear what they want out of this game. They want a game where the player can explore a lot of different options. They can have a lot of fun. They can get creative with their teams, and they can show off their skill at the game. They have very intricate moments or things in the game. It does have a lot of depth, despite what, you know, if you just don't like Zenless, that's okay. I don't really expect people to register what the depth is. If you don't go looking for it, it's fine. But that's what they want, right? They know exactly what it is they want, how they get there, how they appease the audience, how they keep players interested in the game, and how they make money are all conflicts of interest. And even Kimbu, what's funny about that, right? The over-sexualization is hurting them money-wise, right? Because like, oh my God, your heart, tentacle lady, hot, big-ass titties, I want to pull. Money-wise, obviously we're pulling on women because gooners are gooners. Public reception wise, bad. It's not a great thing to be an over-sexualized game. I love women too, exactly. Right, Kaya. But that's not a positive thing. I don't think Githari is over-sexualized, but I think they over-sexualized her, right? And I think that's just a thing that they're doing repeatedly. Guys, I don't think Githari is over-sexualized. Design-wise, again, we'll jump in the game and we'll talk about it. Githari is not an over-sexual character. If I was looking at an over-sexual character, I'd look at a fucking hentai. Like, that's not what I mean. Over-sexualizing something is like, it's clear as day. The intent for you existing on my screen, your intention is to make me horny. Githari's character at a design level is not intended to make you horny, but the promotional material that they use is intended to get you riled up. That is what I mean by they're over-sexualizing her, but it's not so much her as a character is not over-sexualized. And this exists across, to take blood away from the brain, facts. Do we not consider that part of the character? No. Think about it this way, right? Cancerella from Wuthering Waves. A lot of people would say, and they always say it, Cancerella is over-sexualized because she has big ass titties and she's wearing a fucking like V-cut corset or whatever, right? Or the tongue thing. She's an over-sexualized character. That is femme fatale. Cancerella represents the type of character where she is confident in not only her strength, but her appearance, her beauty. And she uses that to her advantage, which is what they show you not only in her trailer, but in her actual character story, right? When you're playing through the story, that's what they're showing you. She's not an over-sexual character. They're using promo material, promo art to sexualize her, to sell her, because that's just sex sells. That's marketing 101. Sex sells. As much as you're going to complain about an over-sexualization of a character, you probably wouldn't even look that character's way unless the sex appeal was in your face. But that's just marketing. Brushing past that, right? The developers have to pick a lane. I strongly believe that, and this is just me, maybe it's different because I'm just this type of player. If Zenless pushed their original lane, where we already have a video on the channel, it'll be linked up here, where I go over the old urban aesthetic, the Persona style, semi-life, simulation kind of thing, the arcade system they have in place. If they pushed more of that, they would be in a much better position. Not only would this give the players something to do outside of just pulling a character, play the story, do the in-game, get off the game, but it would also give the developers something else to look forward to, something else to put work into, blah, 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 right? Boom. At the same time, I think they really need to double down. And again, this is something that not everybody's gonna agree with me on. I'm already like accepting that, but just having watched the space, having watched the scene, and having watched the amount of, like, I guess what we consider players who want the best for the game, but don't actively look at what would help the game. We look at what would help us. They're not looking at what would help the game. I strongly believe if Zenless pushed the whole hardcore in-game, whatever player you need to like sweat, like if they pushed in-game to actually be challenging on top of all the stuff we already have, but remove the over shilling that they do for these buffs and increase the difficulty, increase the challenge, the game would thrive. Take the things that I mentioned and then add those into it, the game would thrive. That's what I believe. And yo, you know what? Sarp, great point, great point. I don't think players are ready to be challenged, at least the current player base. And this is why I said earlier, they're trying to appease too many audiences. They're trying to fix the new player or casual player issue. Learn how to curve and ease your casual players. Encourage your casual players. I like that word a lot better. Encourage your casual players to become more veteran or seasoned players. Dark Souls is a great example. Thank you for mentioning that, Kindred. Dark Souls is the complete opposite of these gacha games. I'll explain that. Why I say it's the complete opposite is because Dark Souls holds your hand for like 4 minutes. After that, you're on your own. If you die because you refuse to learn, that is your fault. You died because you refused to adapt, that's your fault. You can't blame the developer, because you know what the developer said? I don't care. He made that game with the intent to piss his friends off. I know that I can beat it, but I don't want my friends to easily beat it. I want to challenge them. So he presented them with the game, and then we got that game. It's okay for these games to go that route because you cater for that, right? Chaos Zero Nightmare is a perfect example of this, and Smack has an amazing video that he goes over that and pretty much says almost bar for bar how I feel about that game. For a week, I couldn't figure out why I liked the game the way that I did, why I was so addicted to the game. Because during the beta, I wasn't impressed. I was gonna skip it. Wasn't really intending on playing the game at all. But why that was so important was because of the simple fact, once I realized this game was basically like Yu-Gi-Oh! Mixed with any other turn-based RPG you want to think of, right? Like it's basically just Yu-Gi-Oh! My ability to play well is on me. There's some RNG on whether or not I get a particular card or not, but that's the whole thing. The in-game loop or the gameplay loop, building the deck so that I have complete control, just like in Yu-Gi-Oh!, just like in Magic, my game plan, or even Pokemon TCG, building the deck so that I have as much control as possible so I always win. The game is curated that way. It has a whole nightmare mode where like you will get fucked up. It's not holding your hand anymore. It's okay for these games to do that. If Zenless took that route with what I said earlier, right? You keep the or you add more of the arcade stuff. You give casual players something casual to do. Make in-game for players who want to play in-game. Stop trying to appease to both audiences. Insert, before we even finish this point, oh, so you don't want the casual player to get the reward? I don't give a f, bro. No, I don't care if they have rewards. I don't even play in-game for the rewards. That's not the point of me playing in-game. I play in-game for the challenge. So what I want is for the player to play in-game for the challenge. But we have a gacha audience that is so, and this is mostly a Hoyoverse thing, and by association, Wuthering Waves, they've adapted this mentality that it's for the rewards. In-game isn't for a challenge. It's for my reward. All in-game exists is to give me my 4 pulls. That's all in-game is for me to get 4 pulls. That's not what that's for. Oh, you can't mention a competitive game because that's not fair because gotcha. No, yes, I can. Fuck you. You're not gonna jump into Marvel Rivals in Grandmaster tier, right? You're not gonna go to the Grandmaster rank, play the fucking game, and then bitch at the team or bitch at your opponent for being better than you. Well, that's not fair. I got carried all the way to Grandmaster rank thanks to my ability to buy my teammates. You should let me win. I deserve that win. What? Why? Because I'm in Grandmaster rank. I made it here, so I deserve the win. No, you don't. Work for it. But again, I understand I'm different. What I think Zenless should do in order to save it, if you will, is so far beyond what a lot of my peers think that we will never agree. And I've accepted that. But I strongly believe that is the play. I think if Zenless continues to cater towards the casual audience, it's gonna lose more than it gains. And it's not because the casual player doesn't deserve to have fun. It's not because they don't deserve to do in-game or get rewards or play the game. Nope, it's none of that. It's because currently The game has no casual content, so except the story and whatever event exists. So because of that, the player, the casual player, assumes that the end game should be for them, and it's not. Zenless has not established a clear line of separation. Hey, you're not ready for this content yet. Here's how you can work on it and get better. Let's introduce some new tutorials to help you get to that point. They started to do this and then dropped the ball. I know why they dropped the ball. Do you guys know why they dropped the ball? Probably not. Let's talk about it. Why has Zenless not implemented more advanced tutorials since whenever the fuck it was, like 4 or 5 months ago? Because they have not seen or taken something from the top level players in the community. The top players in the community, or just strong players in general, have not given them new tech that's universal for them to teach the rest of the players in the game. That is why. It's not that it doesn't exist. It's not that they can't make it. It's because they can't take it. Nice water bottle. Thank you, bro. Thank you. Training room should be massively updated. The HIA training system should be massively updated. There should be a whole new floor for the Mr. Happy. There should be an entire new floor for Mr. Happy training. I think the status quo for gacha games is that buying of power, especially in Hoyo games, or is the buying of power, and it works to print the money. I agree. And so now you get into, right? Let's talk about Genshin just for a brief period of time. Wuthering is getting to this point, but we'll talk about Wuthering after. Genshin is able to sell you a character just for you to buy the character. Doesn't matter if they're top tier or not. Doesn't matter if they're meta. Doesn't matter if they have traversal options. If they like the character, they will buy the character or pull the character. Why? Because Genshin does a much better job at 1, world building, 2, character development, 3, they create something for the player that makes it so, like, I don't care what this character does, I love it, I want it. So you pull. And that's the way characters should be, but they're not. HSR is really good at that. So many people are pissed off that Cyrene's not broken because everyone wants Cyrene. They also understand HSR is a meta-driven game. Making a character that everyone wants that is not meta is a problem. We're going to riot. We're going to bitch. You can't, it's not smart. It's not a smart idea to do that. And I'm somebody who, like, I don't care that Cyrene doesn't work with everyone. I don't think she should. You guys know how I feel about Astra and Shorekeeper and like I don't like universal busted ass support characters. I think they ruin the game. I've been proven right every single fucking time that I've said it. No one can prove me wrong. Oh, what about the free-to-plays? It's good for the free-to-plays. I don't care. It's great for the player until it ruins the game. What does that mean? Okay, let's talk about Astra. Astra's an amazing character, right, guys? Super awesome support. Everyone loves Astra. Every team can use Astra. I literally have the video on my channel going over the exact same shit that I said. I'm gonna show you. Then I'm gonna get up to go pee and get more water. Astra Yao is the worst thing to happen to Zenless Zone Zero. I knew it. The moment they introduced a character like that, when she was in beta, I said, this is a problem. When she was in her second beta, I said, this is a problem. Then we got CE server, and I said, this character's fucking stupid. She's dumb. She's too good. The ability to hyper buff your entire team. She's better than most characters M1s and M2s. The ability to do that while she does nothing is broken. It shouldn't exist in any game. Boom, they did it. It's never a problem. No one ever sees this as a problem so long as they can benefit from it. And they'll always benefit from it until the game decides to change up the meta, shake it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Ah, man, I love Anomaly. Miyabi's the best character in the game. Nothing can stop me in the game. This is super cool, super awesome. Great time. Astra's the best, guys. Oh no, something was introduced and I can't use my mono ice. Oh no, Astra's not useful right now, bro. I need a stunner, but I have to keep my Astra, but she doesn't work on the team. Oh no, I don't know how to play the team because I've only played Astra. What do I do? The developer should fix this problem. Okay, it's crazy. Cakeism? I don't think I've heard that before, but I really like that term, cakeism. They want broken units and universal supports, but bitch about power creep and inflation that come as a result of that. I like that, you know? And again, this isn't I know I come off that way, guys. I do. I know. I'm not making this to shade players. I don't really care, like, if the player feels some type of way. I'm just stating these things because now we're finally at a point, as I said, going all the way back up, looking at the views and the differences between literally a few months ago, things being pretty consistent, not even high. Like, I think people, when they hear what I'm talking about, they'll probably take this as like, oh, you know, your views were never 50K, 30. I'm not looking for high views. I'm looking for consistent views. The drastic drop in interest for these games, it's too big. And so this is why I'm pointing that stuff out. The same shit I've been talking about, why this was gonna hurt the game, why it's not good for the game, why players should be more adept at learning how to play the game, and why we shouldn't promote, what's the word? I can't think of the word, but we've promoted, obviously not me, but like just as a collective. So I'm gonna include myself in that. I'm not gonna isolate myself, because collectively, as an English-based global Zenless Zone Zero community, we have promoted not learning the game. Collectively, we've promoted dumbing down the player's ability to get better at the game. And no one wants to call that out. No one wants to own up and admit that. No one wants to point that shit out. But collectively, we've done that. That is a problem. It's bad. It's one of the worst things you can do for a game that's actively told you since CBT2 that it wants to be blank type of game. Blank type of game being like the challenging and the content, the difficulty, whatever, right? It's told you that. The Pride Win tier list is a perfect example of that. Combining this category is verbatim doing what I said was gonna you are dumbing down the player's ability to fucking learn. Then what's gonna happen, right? Dylin is gonna come out, this character's gonna be cracked out of her mind. What are we gonna do, split the category again? Oh no, Dylin is still a support. This bitch is a better Ching Yi. She's a better Ching Yi mixed with all the other fucking stunners in the game. And she does damage. She's not a support. So what, you're gonna put Dylin in DPS category? I said it was gonna happen. It's bound to happen, and now here we are. You combine the categories. The moment they start making actual stunner characters, you're gonna have to split them up again anyway. There's no point. Dylin does damage. Dylin's whole thing is being an on-field DPS, beating the shit out of shit, and then enabling her actual DPS to follow up and beat the shit out of shit. You know what I talked about with Anomaly in my previous video? With Anomaly characters, right? Or Anomaly teams, there's not really like a one-on-one, right? Your Anomaly teams, a proper Anomaly team is always jumping something. It's never a one-on-one. Miyabi and Vivian, Jane and Alice, Miyabi and Yanagi and right? Doesn't matter what it is. There's always two DPSs versus one thing or one group of enemies, right? You're always jumping something. Dylin is what the rupture or attack characters, depending on what her kit is gonna finalize as. She is that, but a stunner. She is helping you jump them. Like that is her whole purpose. Dylin is the big sister. You guys know that anime trope where you like in martial arts anime or kung fu anime, you have the big sister with big ass titties. Dylin doesn't have big ass titties, but I'm explaining the trope. She has a big sister, martial arts, big ass titties, and she protects the little brother, right? And the little brother knows martial arts. He's just not as good as his big sister. His big sister don't take shit, but she real nice until you mess with her little brother, and she just beats the shit out. That is Dylin. Dylin is quite literally that type. Me, you from Kenny. Yo, talk about it, bro. You know ball. You know ball, man. Updating the standard banner would be great, but I don't think they're gonna do that. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna do that. I don't think they're gonna do that. They should. Zenless should do a lot. There's a lot of things Zenless can do to make it better and make it last longer and make it more profitable, not only for themselves, but more beneficial for players as well. And I don't see them doing that, even though they should. I think the combination, and again, we'll wrap this up with Wuthering, or maybe Genshin, but whatever. I think the combination of so many members in the community saying what they want and what's bad for the game, even though it's not, because they just don't want it, or they don't like it, or they don't want to change, whatever, versus the actual developer's vision, has created too big of an issue. This issue where it should only affect the player count and the developer's pockets. But that's not what's happened. This issue has now grown outside of just those two categories. It's affected the player count, the player interest or viewer interest. It's affected content creators, obviously, because like they're the ones that make content. and it's affecting their pocket. That's a problem across every single board. To be fair, everyone is playing Duet Night Abyss right now. That's why Zenless and Wuthering are on a downward trend. That's not true at all. And I guess maybe that's the case for Wuthering, but I know that most Zenless players don't like DNA. They like what it could be, but they don't like the game. It doesn't feel as snappy. And I'll talk about DNA in its own video, but it just doesn't feel as snappy. Now, obviously, I'm not speaking for all Zenless players. I'm not the Zenless moniker or something like that, but it is what it is. But what I want to wrap up, I spoke a lot about Zenless because that's my home territory. I know a lot about that. Woo is not off the chopping block. I want to talk about Wuthering, and I want to talk, what up, Inari? I want to talk about it in a way where I feel like everyone should be able to come to a solid consensus, but I know this won't happen. Wuthering is also on a decline. I can't tell you the analytics behind it because I'm not the one making the Wuthering content, so I'm only going to go off of what I've observed, what I've talked about with other Wuthering creators like Life, for instance, or Rin, and I'm able to see their analytics, but I'm not able to see every Wuthering creator's analytics, right? I believe Wuthering's on a decline for similar reasons to Zenless, but not exactly the same things. One, I think the massive decline for the Wuthering space viewer count wise, right? And again, let me re-verify just in case for anybody that might have found this, seen this, clipped it, and jumped straight to this point because you heard me talking about Wuthering. Oh, you talking about Wuthering? Oh my God. One, this is from the perspective of a content creator. And I'm purely talking about this from mostly a content perspective. I forgot the second thing I was gonna say, but it was an important disclaimer. If I remember it, I'll say it randomly. That's on me. That's on me. That's on me. But speaking on like everything with Woo-Wah, okay? Wuthering's problem it's a combination of things. I'm trying to remember how I said it to Life earlier, but TLDR, when I talk about Wuthering and I talk about the decline, like I said, very similar to Zenless. What I'm getting at here isn't so much about like Wuthering as the game itself, but it's a combination of things. And so the main thing is definitely going to be the community. I know, again, same thing that I said with Zenless. A lot of people like to blame, oh, you should blame the developers. It's the devs' fault. They made the game. You're still playing the game. And I want to make that very clear, right? I have a mentality that I try and explain to people, but it always comes out very blunt because there's no other way to say it. Quit or submit. What does that mean? It means that if you aren't happy with what you're doing with your time, quit. There's no way you can shake that up. Like there's not another way to say that. There's not another way for me to get that message across to anybody, right? Time is invaluable. You will not get it back. You just won't, unless you're a time manipulator. And if you are, come holler at me. You just won't get it back. Because of that, wasting your time is always a net negative. It's a problem. No one on the face of the planet should want to waste their time, ever. So if you're playing something or you're doing something that you're genuinely not enjoying, you consider it a waste of time. Stop doing it. I've said this same thing with Zenless and the players who threaten to quit the game if the developers don't do what they want, or if they go in a direction, then just quit. It's okay. You can always come back. There's not a point in time where like, oh my God, bro, I quit Zenless and now I can never come back. You can come back. Oh man, Starro introduced casters. I hate them. You can come back. It's okay. Not having fun, stop playing the game. That should be a basic concept that every human understands. Wrapping that up, when I say the community, right? It's not so much like, oh, that's what I'm talking about, blaming the developers. Community, you guys are the ones playing the game. You guys are the ones giving them the information they need to continue doing whatever the they're doing while you play the game. When I say the community is primarily at fault for like the state of Wuthering right now, again, global side, I don't know about, actually I do know about the Eastern side. Eastern side is chilling. Eastern side for content for a lot of these games are fucking chilling. They don't have the same problems that we're facing right now. The view count, they're not facing that problem. The interest rate for viewers, they're not facing that problem. This is purely a EN or global side thing, okay? The community, everyone in the gacha space understands that the Wuthering community is seen, they're seen, not saying they are, they're seen as the most toxic community, if not right next to Genshin. I've made statements calling them the Neo Genshin community because they are. Take that how you will. I bring this up because that is the image that they have. If Zenless has the image of being elitist, like all the players are elitist, the Wuthering community has the image of being toxic and bad and vitriolic and everything else. Why this is a problem for viewer interest. You can see this on Twitter all the time. Anytime you see a tweet, and it pops up at least once a week. Yeah, no, exactly. The Wuthering community is pretty chill. I do want to make that very clear. It's like, and that's what I was going to get into. Again, bubbles, okay? what I mentioned earlier with like Genshin. But Wuthering on Twitter, when you see these type of tweets pop up, you'll always see a tweet once a week, and they say something about how they wish that they had blank creator for Wuthering that didn't cover blank drama or rage bait or anything like that, right? You'll see that. And then you'll proceed to get recommendations for people that make content but aren't actual, they're not the content creators that person is looking for. Let me elaborate, because it doesn't mean a specific person, even though I know that might be what somebody thinks. When someone on Twitter, usually, and this is just based off reading the rest of their comments and responses, when someone says they're looking or they wish there were certain creators, what they're looking for is Genshin Impact content creators, but for Wuthering Waves. What does that look like? They are looking for a Doro. They are looking for a Jadali, and we already have her, obviously, right? But they're looking for a Jadali. They're looking for a Duck TV. They're looking for an old school Tuanto. He doesn't do this anymore, right? He's playing games and whatnot, but these are what they're looking for. They're looking for the Genshin Impact creators, but for Wuthering, right? And so I talk about this quite often with like Ren, Life, and like a few of the other Wuthering creators that just do like certain types of content, right? And I told them they were on a timer. That timer is already ticking and the bomb is about to explode. But the thing that I mentioned was that once these creators start making content for Wuthering Waves consistently, all of you lose. As a content creator, all of you lose. And I know that sounds pretty harsh, but that's the reality of it. This is a positive for the algorithm because these creators in particular would be able to pump up Wuthering Waves gameplay. I built so-and-so in 24 hours. I did this challenge in whatever time. They'll be able to pump that type of content up, the interest rate for it in the algorithm. That's just how YouTube works. That's a positive. Here's why it's a negative and why I said they would lose. All of them have already established communities that are interested in their content and content like their content, but still primarily from them. So if somebody from Doro's community is watching all of his content, they see him play Wuthering, that doesn't mean that that person is now going to go look for other people making Wuthering content that almost may be like Doro's. You have not passed the vibe check. For them, Doro is the vibe check, and you kind of move on from there. It's a very weird, finicky thing, but it's how these communities are. A good example of this, if you're looking for this like currently in the drama bubble, whatever, right? If you're looking for an example of this, look at how many people, and I'll mention him just for the explanation, no ill will with me mentioning his name. Tech has a community, right? Tecton has a community. Look at how many people that if he collabs with them or endorses them, all the people from his community or a chunk of them magically find themselves in that community that he's endorsed, right? The creator that he's endorsed. This is just content creation, like tips or rules or whatever, like unspoken rule. It's just things that content creation does, viewers do. They trust a creator. And so when he says, you know what? Yeah, I'll do it. And then they move on. No ill will from you, maybe? Yeah, I know, right? That's what they'll do. Wuthering would have the same fate if like Doros and the Jadalis and Ducks and whatever else got like way more consistent, right? If they 50-50'd, if they made 50% Genshin content and 50% Wuthering content, this is what would happen. Going back, circling this back to what I said about Wuthering and like why the community would be at fault for this kind of stuff. It's because, just like I said with Zenless, you endorse it. As a community, if you endorse, if you incentivize the creators that you already have to either continue making that same content because it works, it benefits them financially, or you de-incentivize or I'm pretty sure it's de-incentivize, right? You de-incentivize them, or discourage is another word, right? You discourage them from making the content that you said you wanted. YouTube doesn't lie. YouTube does a lot of trickery. YouTube fucks up sometimes. YouTube is a bitch, but YouTube don't, numbers and analytics don't fucking lie. When the community says they don't like something, but the number one thing that is being viewed about that game is the thing the community said they don't like, you're not doing enough. Everyone on Twitter that bitches about what they don't like in the Wuthering community content-wise, you're not doing enough to change it. And you don't even have to change it. That's the funny part. Drama should exist. Rage bait should exist. These videos should exist. The antithesis to those videos should also exist. You should have your casual, regular, degular, fun gameplay content, whatever it is, your builds, your guide, all that shit should exist. That is a healthy ecosystem. That's why Genshin was what it was in year 1 and 2 and why it got to the point where it is now. That's why Star Rail was what it was for year 1 until it turned into drama bait. Wuthering needs more of Genshin. That doesn't mean the game. And I know that people think that. It's not about the game. Well, I guess like first, let's make this very clear. Wuthering is a skeleton of Genshin. Like there's no reason for anybody to deny that. Genshin is the bones, right? The skeleton for a lot of gacha games today. Wuthering is no exception. They built on that skeleton and created their own body. They need to take the things that make Genshin hyper successful. They need to take the things that make Genshin stand on top for themselves. This doesn't mean take the elements of reactions. So, oh, you just want element. No, that's not what that means. It means if Genshin or Hoyo is doing a certain thing with their audience or their creators or their promotional content, whatever, if they're doing a certain thing and it's clearly working in a positive manner for the community, take it, use it, twist it if you want to. It's kind of the same thing where it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't copy something and then tweak it. Like, oh man, can I borrow your homework? Yeah, but change it up a little bit so it doesn't look the same. No, if the answer to 2 + 2 is 4, why are you changing 2 + 2 to equal 5 so it looks a little different? Oh, mine's is gonna be 4 with an asterisk mark next to it. No, just put 4 on the fucking equation. You don't have to do a lot. Now we get into, because Logan, you're mentioning a lot of things, and this is the conversation that was going on recently was in like depth and complexity with Wuthering and like it not having either or whatever, the right, whatever that was being said. That is where the game and the developers falter, and they need to change that. They need to correct it. Just like how I said Zenless is losing its identity, or rather it's not honing in on what makes it Zenless, Wuthering is doing the same thing. I'm gonna mention something, and this is very funny observation that I've had for over a year. I've spoken with this for a few different people. Everyone pretty much agreed. Obviously, when I say this, everyone's not gonna agree because people just like to disagree with me, but Wuthering has 2 different communities, possibly 3, but for now I'll stick to 2. Wuthering has 2 different communities. One community wants the CBT2 version of Wuthering Waves. The other community will not admit this, but this is the reality of what they're asking for. They want a reskinned Genshin Impact named Wuthering Waves. That's it. Those are the 2 different communities. What does the CB2 community mean? Like, what do you mean by that? Originally, Wuthering Waves was a much darker themed game. Gothic aesthetic or goth era aesthetic, dystopian, desolate type of land. It was a much more punishing game. The games, it was very similar, reminiscent, if you will, to Souls-like. That is why if someone randomly sees you playing Wuthering out in the street, right? You're on the train, you're playing Wuthering. If somebody saw you playing Wuthering and they had no idea what a gacha game was, their first thought will be, that's a Souls-like game. Steam, when Wuthering finally got to Steam, what was the tag? Souls-like. People don't like that, right? But like, that's the thing. Wuthering should have leaned into that hard, because just being Genshin Impact, but slightly better, we have guaranteed weapon pools. Like, we have this, we have traversal. It's not enough. I made a video, and the whole video where I said like, oh, Wuthering doesn't have it, all that shit. I said a lot of this shit back then. I'm still being proven right to this day. Niggas hate me, but like, I was right. I'm gonna just say it. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Okay, the same shit I said back then is happening now. I talked about the combat experience, and I said why it would be good if they leaned into these things, but it'll be bad if they don't. They're not doing that. Like, they're half-assing it. They're making things that are really good. Zani, fucking love that character. A lot of people, and this is what I'm talking about, right? The split. So you guys probably have seen these type of players or interacted with these type of players. There's a certain type of player that loves Zani and a certain type of player that hates Zani. Some players don't like how Zani plays. She's clunky. They can't really vibe with her. They don't like that she's slow. They don't like that you have to use her shield and that she can't just stay in her fucking horn form, right? Her enhanced form, her install. She can't stay in that any longer or a long time. They don't like the switching in, and they don't like that. Then you have the other player and loves that shit. Best character in the game. I love solo Zani. I love duo Zani. I love full team Zani because I'm able to utilize everything and capitalize on anything. Zani, in a experienced player hands, beats everything in the game because of her kit, beats it all. That split is exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to the community. There are certain people or a certain group, right, after community, they don't want the complexity, which goes into, I don't want the depth. When you talk to players, and I'm leaning into the next video, I don't want to, but when you talk to players about like the things that they like about Wuthering and what they want, or any game for that matter, but right now we're talking about Wuthering. If you were to ask them the things that they like about the game and what they want from the game, most players are not going to tell you that they want the enemy to beat their ass. They're not going to tell you that they want the enemy to fight back. They think already the enemy fights back, which to a degree, the enemy does fight back. I'm not saying that the enemies in Wuthering just stand there. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying though, is that the enemies don't do enough. The characters in Wuthering Waves are so strong that they overpower the current state of the game. No one should be denying this statement. The characters in Wuthering are so strong that they overpower the current state of the game. I don't think that can be argued against. I just don't. It doesn't, and you don't have to be a pro player to see that. You don't have to be a top level player to see that. It's quite literally a thing that exists in the game. The half of the community that I talked about, they like that their characters are overpowered. They like that they feel like they can't be power crept because it is a gacha game. And they like that they can just slap on whatever, play whatever, and like have a great time. In the midst of doing all of that, they'll most often say some things like, oh man, Cartithia is not easy to play. How about you try and play Cartithia with no stacks and see how that goes for you? Oh man, you're playing Cheng-Li? Well, I bet you can't quick swap. How about you learn how to quick swap? Learn mono fusion quick swap, and then you'll see the game's true potential. You're encouraging more players to play the overpowered thing, to learn the overpowered mechanics or gameplay, whatever, so that they don't have to engage with the already underpowered enemy. But that's what's happening. And again, two different sides. It's not that one side is better than the other. I guess I should have said that earlier. And it's not that one side is wrong, right? And one side is right. It's just that they both exist. This creates a split, just like I talked about in Zenless. That's why I said, and I've said this a while ago, yo, Zoomin, thank you, man. How old am I? 42. But I've said this a while ago, and I said that Zenless and Wuthering are very synonymous with each other. They're very close together, very close together. Where one has a positive, the other has a negative. Where one has a negative, the other has a positive, but they're almost one for one. That's why these conversations with Zenless and Wuthering and like what's better or worse, they're never ending because they're so similar. They're so similar, dude. Is Wuthering worth getting into now? If you enjoy it, yeah, it's free. Try it. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where like as long as you're not wasting your time, you're good, you know? But if you feel like it's a waste of your time, don't do it. Play the game for an hour, 3 hours, 5 hours. And if you're like, not really feeling it, uninstall. Nothing wrong with, I do it with games all the time. I'll install a game. If the game doesn't like connect with me in an hour or so, I'll uninstall the game. I did it with Duet Night Abyss, and I'll play DNA if they sponsor me. DNA is not a bad game. My issue with DNA is that the combat is just, and you guys know me, I despise floaty combat. And that's just me. A big part of, and it has so much potential, exactly. A big part of me and like why Wuthering's combat for me, like I don't like it to a degree. I like it, but I don't like every character in Wuthering. It's because for a large chunk of the roster is in the air. I don't want to, the only character I like playing in the air is quite literally Mono Fusion. And that's because I feel like they did it right. Brant is Spider-Man. He's Pirate Spider-Man. One of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character to play in a game. So fucking cool. They did it correctly. I shouldn't be floating in the air for 50 years doing a basic attack string, landing on the ground just to jump back up and get back in the air again. Cancerella is my favorite character in the entire game of Wuthering Waves. She is my least, or actually my most disliked character to play in the entire game. I can't stand playing Cancerella, and I hate that for myself. Imagine that. My favorite character is the character that I don't like playing. What up, Dre? Mostly on the ground in DNA, but that's because I use melee than range. Not even, so Arc, it's not even like with DNA, it's not even the combat itself. So maybe I should change that. Movement, it's floaty and slow in my opinion. And this is me comparing it to Warframe, which it just might not be fair. Warframe is much more snappier. The animations, the speed, like, okay, in Warframe, when I dash, it feels like a dash. You know what I mean? When I jump and I jump like I super jump, it feels like a super jump, right? But when I do these things in DNA, it's slow. It feels floaty. And this is just me, right? Not everybody shares the same type of taste that I have. Everybody has their own cup of tea. It's just not my cup of tea. Wrapping this up is a long video. I didn't even realize I was doing this long, man, but damn. And like going back to Wuthering with like the developers, they need to, and I'm making things that not everybody agrees with. I'm looking at this from a purely analytical perspective, not only just from the content perspective, but from like the longevity and survivability of the game, the interest rate. They have to pick something. They can't keep playing in the middle, either game. No, if these games continue to play in the middle, they shoot themselves in the foot actively. It's not a good thing. It's not healthy. Notice how we have no events for Wuwa right now. There's just nothing there, nothing to do. It's a dry patch. Nobody wants to play anything. But this was the climax of what most would say is one of their best stories. Who was not playing in the middle? They've gone full casual. Okay, so if Wuthering has gone full casual, then it's time that a lot of that second half of the community, right? Mentioned the 2 splits. If that's the case, that first split, they'll have to quit or submit. If Wuthering has gone full casual, allow Wuthering, allow Kuro to just fully endorse that, fully embrace it. Allow them to just, if they fully embrace it, they'll probably be much better off. But you can't keep giving both. And what I mean by that is like, if they're going full casual, stop implementing characters that have really, really awesome kits. Like the character itself feels good to play. They have a lot of intricacies in their kit. Augusta is a really good example of that, right? Augusta, and I know people didn't like when I said it, but shit, I was right. Max said the same shit. Bitch has a fucking Shoryuken. That is a fighting game character, all right? She has fighting game mechanics built into her fucking kit. Augusta is sick as If you're going more casual, don't make a character like Augusta. Galbrenna, literally my favorite character in the game to play, because of what she dash cancel combos that actually matter. Micro dash inputs into her guns, or into an uppercut, or into a skill cancel, enhanced skin, chick is okay? Going full casual, remove Galbrenna from the game, take her out, because the casual player isn't doing any of what you see in these showcases. If you guys watch a Phantom Lock showcase, the casual player not doing none of that shit. They're just not, because the capacity, the mental capacity for them to do it, to learn it, they're not gonna do it. No, she isn't. It's just a visual uppercut, what makes her an FGC. All right, so when I say FGC, maybe, you know what, maybe let me clarify, and I'll walk it back. Let me not call her a fighting game character, okay? Even though that's how I feel, let's call her an action game character. But you can't, I'm not gonna compare her to Devil May Cry. The reason I'm not gonna compare her to Devil May Cry is because she doesn't play like a Devil May Cry character. Augusta plays more like, if you needed any other comparison that's not a fighting game, she plays like a fucking League of Legends character in a 3D format. What are we doing? She has a cooldown system that, if I'm not mistaken, even though other characters have cooldowns, no one has a cooldown system like hers. And Riven feels like a fighting game character. Like it, and this is, I am the fighting game guy in the gacha space, okay? I was born in the dog. I was born in the FGC, all right? Raised by the FGC. A lot of my thought process is fighting game first, whatever the fuck else second. So when I say something is like a fighting game character, that is natural to me. It doesn't mean that this is like the only thing that fucking exists, okay? It just means that this is natural. It's kind of like if you were raised in a football house, right? You're raised in a household that is all football, American football. And then you leave and you go to your friend's house and they're playing basketball. The easiest way for you to describe your experience is naturally going to come out of your mouth, football first, whatever the fuck else second. I just want to point that out. So now that I've said that, and Smack even had this in his video, like I didn't even have to make a video about this because I wasn't gonna. I'm just enjoying the character. Smack had a whole thing where people in the community were telling him he's wrong and that you're supposed to do ABC 1, 2, 3 rotation. And then he told them, you guys are like dumb. That's his word, not mine. But you know, he's like, y'all are bugging. This character has cooldowns. The way you play this character is maximizing or making it as efficient as possible by utilizing the combos or making combos to maximize her cooldowns. None of your skills should be active in the middle of your combo. They should be all ready to go. Mac he did this so well that he was able to display a combo in real time of him literally using all of the moves, all the cooldowns, all the enhanced moves in a string of succession to success. Got the kill, right? What else does that? Like, how anti-fighting game do we want to be today? You know what I mean? Like, I understand that everyone doesn't play fighting games. And so like, y'all hate when I mention that shit because you don't play it. Not specifically you, Jam, but just in general. You know what I mean? But it's like, how anti-fighting game do we actually want to be? What else does that? League of Legends does it. Logan is like the League of Legends guy in our community, all right? Dude is cracked. well, he will smoke your shit in League of Legends. If he's agreeing, why are we arguing? Like, why are we so off put by that? He only plays arena? Nah. That's just not true. It wasn't to harp on the fighting game at all. That wasn't even my point. My point was that Wuthering keeps implementing these really sick ass characters, cool as characters, they're awesome. But if they're going in a more casual route, the casual player is not worried about doing this. And they themselves have admitted this. So it doesn't really make sense to do that. And that's why I say they're kind of like, they need to pick a lane, pick what they want to do. But it's up in the air because that's not their only issue. I've seen some leaks. I don't really want to talk about the leaks because I don't know if they're real or not. I don't want to be on Kuro's bad side, but I will say if these rumors about 3.0 are true, and it's nothing to do with like secret characters or like whatever, or the story, it's purely mechanics. The rumors that I saw was that they were trying to improve the mechanics of the game, the gameplay, to a drastic degree. They were changing the enemies and the bosses to be more aggressive, but fair. And quite literally, the words say, like Monster Hunter. They were going to implement, or they were trying to implement, breakable parts like Monster Hunter. They were going to put a lot more focus into the co-op aspect of the game. I bring that up because these are things that I talked about a year ago. When I got flamed for all the shit that I was like, oh man, these would be great, you know, Wuthering should do this, whatever. All of these things I brought up a year ago. And niggas were like, nah, bro, that. We don't want that. Go play your Genshin Hunter somewhere else. We don't want that shit. And now here we are, a full year later, over a year later, where the community magically, and this is, I'll end the video this way, right? Or in this segment this way. This is what bothers me. It doesn't bother me that people use the glue or whatever, or they don't like me. That's not my issue. I don't really care about that anymore. What bothers me is that I said some things, you didn't like how I said them, but what I said is very much prominent in the community and the game to this day. Take your negative edge, card cancel. We don't want that shit. But you're negative edging in the game. You guys are actively performing what I consider FGC inputs or even action game inputs, canceling, whatever, right? The things that I talked about are actively being used in these showcases that you use to show other people that the game has depth. But EO is fucking stupid. He's the lol cow. I'm right. Like I what are we doing? The same shit I said. Oh, if Wuthering took these things and implemented them into the game, they'd be phenomenal. If they put more focus into this type of stuff, it would be great. The combat would be awesome. Here we are, where they're potentially doing that. I don't know, not true or not, but they're potentially doing. Come on, man. You can hate me just to hate me. I don't care. That's fine. But can we at least admit that I wasn't wrong? Like, I didn't just make some bullshit up, bro. Like, y'all just didn't like that I'm the one that said it. That's crazy. Being right should be enough. No. I need my pittance, bro. I need my pittance. You know what I mean? So whatever, but we'll end it there. We'll wrap it up there. I know this is a really long video. Somehow this turned out to be like almost 2 hours long. I don't know how, but I had a lot to say. Like I said, I came back from DreamHack and I spoke with a few people. I had a lot to take in. I even spoke with people once I got back. There's so much that I've observed while I was away, and I wasn't even away for that long, but I'd been watching these things for a long time. So much that I observed that I'm like, dude, I don't want, me personally, I don't want any of the gacha space to like fan out. I don't want Wuthering to magically die. I don't want Genshin to die. I don't want Star Rail to die. I definitely don't want Zenless to die. And I want to see the games thrive. That's just me, because I play them, right? If I'm interested in something, I want to see it thrive. And so when I look at these things and I look at like just how everyone is as a whole, communities, developers, whatever, there's so many issues around the clock that it feels like they're never going to get addressed. And it's not because like they can't be addressed. It's because they're conflicting. The issues are all conflicting with one another, because if you solve one, you hurt the other. If you solve two, you create 3 new problems. It's just really weird. And then the way that the viewer, the interest rate for these games has gotten to this point, a part of me wants to blame us as creators, right? Because like, and this is exclusively for like Zenless and Wuthering. Maybe we're not making interesting enough content. That's what I want to say. That's what I want to think. I really want to say that, because that is the most YouTube logical answer possible. That is to the T how YouTube works. You're not making content that the people want to see. In that same sentence, that same statement, right? You're not making content that the people want to see. I also mentioned YouTube doesn't lie. Algorithm is the algorithm, and you curate that as a viewer. So if we're not making content people want to see, and this is a perfect example of that, a few creators have literally done this. You can go inspect their channels right now. You can literally see when Wuthering came out, no rage bait, no drama, no discussion, pure love of the game, enjoying the game, full videos, how I love this character, oh my gosh, she's so hot, whatever, story, the lore, and something happened, and then they just started making different content, and the views magically fixed themselves, right? Like, you went from making 400 views a video to 4,000 views, 14,000 views, 20,000 views. You see where I'm going? Because the people wanted to see it. That's what they're interested in. So that's why I said it's, you fix one problem, you create more, or you hurt the other. And it's whack. Yeah, community loves drama as much as they want to deny it. But you know, this video isn't even to like wrap up with just drama. Cause like I said, in the entire scheme of the video, if you jump to the end of the video, I highly encourage you to like watch the whole thing. I know it's long, guys, I really do, but watch the whole thing, because there's like so much that I break down and so much that I talk about like off the cuff. It's not just a one thing. It's not a one community. It's not a one person. It's not a one game. It's fucking the entire ecosystem is just fucked up right now. And it's not good. But y'all let me know your thoughts and opinions on that. I'm taking a risk even making this video or uploading this. I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Like the video, comment, subscribe. Smell you later. You make Zenless content, right? I do. Oh, dude, I love Zenless. It's such a great game, man. Whatever. I got into it because blah, 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 blah. You made that video about fighting games, right? That's how I found out about Zenless. Blah, 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 blah.